Greetings, chosen ones, and to all my respected brothers and sisters in the faith, I welcome you with the warmth of God's grace and the power of His Word. Let me ask you a question that could shift everything about your current season. What if the doors you've been praying for are already opening just beyond the realm of your natural sight? What if the breakthrough you think is far away has already been commanded to come forth by the one who sees the end from the beginning? You see, in Isaiah 45:2, God makes a bold promise. I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of bronze and cut the bars of iron. This is not poetic language. This is prophetic strategy. It means that even when you can't trace God's hand, you can still trust His movement. So if you've been standing in front of closed doors, if life feels crooked and blocked, this word is for you. Stay with me. Like, comment, and subscribe if you believe this message is confirming something in your spirit. Let's walk through this promise together and watch what God opens next. We often assume God follows us, blessing our steps as we make them. But Isaiah 45:2 shatters that notion. It declares that God goes before us. He doesn't trail behind, He leads the way. The significance of this cannot be overstated. When God moves ahead, He clears a path through terrain we haven't even reached yet. This means the opportunity, breakthrough, or divine connection you're waiting for is already being prepared, even if it looks like nothing is happening. Think about an icebreaker ship. It sails into frozen seas, shattering thick sheets of ice to allow ships behind it to pass through easily. That's what God promises. I go before you. Your job is not to stress over how things will happen. Your job is to follow the one who's already breaking barriers ahead. A young woman once shared her story. She was unemployed for nearly a year despite having 2 degrees. She kept applying, praying, and attending interviews. Nothing seemed to work. One day, she found Isaiah 45:2 and clung to it. God, you said you go before me. She prayed daily. Weeks later, she got a call from a company she never applied to. Someone had forwarded her resume without her knowledge. The CEO met her once at a conference, remembered her, and instructed HR to find her. She was offered a job that exceeded what she had prayed for. God had gone before her, opening doors she couldn't even see. God's advance movement doesn't mean immediate visibility. It means inevitable breakthrough. Isaiah 45:2 speaks to a God who opens invisible doors. There's nothing more frustrating than staring at a wall and not knowing there's a door embedded in it. Many people give up not because there is no way forward, but because the way isn't visible. Faith doesn't require visible doors. Faith trusts that God's Word creates doors in invisible places. Remember Joseph in Genesis. He went from the pit to Potiphar's house, from the prison to the palace. No one could have predicted that a dungeon would be his door into divine destiny. But God used Pharaoh's dream to create a door no man could have manufactured. That's the power of Isaiah's promise. God's openings are not always logical, but they are always supernatural. In 2008, during the economic crash, a man in Florida lost his real estate job and could not find employment for months. During a morning devotion, he read Isaiah 45:2 and wept. He said, God, open a door I don't see. That very week, a neighbor asked if he could help build a chicken coop in his backyard. He did it well. That turned into a referral. Within a year, he launched a construction company building sheds and barns. Today, he owns a multi-million-dollar business. What looked like a random act of kindness was actually a hidden door. Sometimes the door is disguised as difficulty. Don't curse the trial. It may be your transition. When Isaiah speaks of crooked places, he's addressing those complex, tangled, confusing seasons of life where nothing seems aligned. These are the times when you pray and hear silence, plan and see setbacks, hope and feel heartache. God doesn't just walk you through these crooked places, He straightens them out. Straightening requires force and intentionality. When a metal rod is bent, it doesn't correct itself, it needs pressure applied in the right direction. That's what God does. He applies divine pressure to systems, hearts, environments, and even your mindset to straighten the things that are misaligned in your life. A pastor once testified of how he was wrongfully accused and demoted in ministry. For years his name was tarnished, but he clung to Isaiah 45:2. He kept quiet, stayed faithful, and let God fight. Eventually, the truth emerged. The very people who rejected him invited him back, this time in a senior leadership role. The crooked place of betrayal had been made straight by God's justice. Crooked places don't intimidate God. They are His canvas. Bronze gates symbolize resistance, strength, and human limitations. When Isaiah says God breaks them, it means that the strongest opposition you face, whether physical, emotional, institutional, or spiritual, is no match for God's power. Doors made by men cannot stop a move ordained by heaven. A young African inventor created a water purification system in his village using minimal tools. He applied for aid from several organizations but was rejected repeatedly. Too young, they said, no credentials, but he kept improving his model. Eventually, a journalist stumbled upon his work and published a piece. That went viral. 3 months later, UNICEF and the Gates Foundation partnered with him. Bronze gates fell. Today, his system serves over 50 rural communities. No human gate can stand when God has declared access. What's made of bronze in your life? A diagnosis, a boardroom decision, a generational curse. If God said He's breaking it, believe it. Iron bars represent incarceration, not necessarily physical, but emotional, mental, or spiritual imprisonment. Isaiah tells us that not only does God open doors, but He also breaks bars. These are limitations others put on you or you've unknowingly accepted. Sometimes the bars are internal: fear, insecurity, trauma, shame. A woman once attended a conference and heard Isaiah 45:2 read out loud. She began weeping. After years of abuse, she had built a mental prison. She didn't feel worthy of love, success, or even peace. But through therapy, prayer, and community, those bars began to snap. God had already declared freedom, she simply had to believe it. Whatever is holding you back, understand this: God doesn't negotiate with prisons. He demolishes them. Keynote 6. God's strategy always involves preparation. When God promises open doors, He's not just preparing the door, He's preparing you. David was anointed king, but had to face Goliath, run from Saul, live in caves, and lead men before he sat on the throne. The promise was real, but the preparation was necessary. You might be in a preparation season right now. The delay is not denial, it's development. God is maturing you for the door He's opening. He doesn't want you to walk through it unprepared. A door opened prematurely can become a disaster. A man in London once lost a publishing deal that was guaranteed. He was devastated. In that season, he wrote more, studied harder, and self-published his first novel. That self-published book became a bestseller. Months later, publishers came knocking. He now had leverage. God's preparation had given him position. We often crave open doors for what they give us: success, wealth, recognition. But God opens doors to assign you, not just to advance you. Isaiah's prophecy is not just about breakthrough, but about divine purpose. He opens what's closed so you can do what He's called you to do. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 16:9, "A great door for effective work has opened to me, and there are many who oppose me." Open doors come with opposition because they are not playgrounds, they are battlefields. But when God opens the door, he equips you for what's inside. Think of Esther. Her door opened into the palace not for comfort, but to save a nation. Don't just walk through, understand why the door is there. The promise of Isaiah 45:2 becomes your reality when faith activates it. Faith is not passive. It moves your feet while God moves mountains. It's believing in doors that haven't been built yet and thanking God for walls that are about to fall. You may not see a way, you may not feel qualified, but God's word is stronger than your circumstance. Take one step forward, speak his promises daily, trust that his timing is strategic. Doors may not appear immediately, but with each prayer, praise, and act of obedience you get closer. A man once walked miles daily looking for work. One day, he felt prompted to walk into a building with no hiring sign. He did. They were about to post a job ad that day, but gave it to him on the spot. That's the God of Isaiah 45:2. Faith doesn't wait for doors, it walks toward them. Isaiah 45:2 is not just a promise about divine movement, it's an invitation to partner with the movement of God. I will go before you isn't where it ends. The question is, will you go forward after he has made the way? The power of an open door means nothing if fear keeps you from walking through it. God opens. You must enter. Many people pray for breakthrough, but few prepare to walk in it. And even fewer have the courage to step through when the moment comes. God can break the bronze gates. He can tear down the bars of iron. He can straighten every crooked place in your life, but he will not drag you into destiny. That part, the stepping forward, is your responsibility. Fear is the enemy of forward movement, and it rarely comes alone. It brings anxiety, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and paralyzing hesitation. These are the invisible chains that stop believers from claiming visible victories. God told Joshua after Moses died, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua 1:9. Why? Because the promised land was already open, but Joshua needed courage to cross into it. Let's make it plain. God can open the door to a new business, but if fear of failure stops you from launching, the door means nothing. God can open the heart of someone to love you, but if you're still imprisoned by fear from your last heartbreak, you won't receive them. God can open ministry opportunities, but if fear of judgment or inadequacy shuts your mouth, your calling stays dormant. A young man once had a lifelong dream of becoming a pilot. He studied aviation, passed his exams, but always postponed applying to real positions. Deep inside, he battled fear of crashing, of responsibility, of being not good enough. After years of delay, he confided in a pastor who reminded him of Isaiah 45:2. "Son," the pastor said, "God already went ahead of you. You're afraid of a door that's already been opened and blessed." That conversation changed him. He applied, got hired. Today, he flies commercial jets across nations. The only thing stopping him was fear, not God, not opportunity, not ability. Some doors you've been praying for are already open, but fear is standing in your doorway like a guard. But remember this, fear is loud but powerless. God does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called. If he opened the door, he's already placed the grace and the gifting inside of you to walk through it. But the step is still yours to take. One of the greatest stories of walking through open doors is found in the New Testament. Peter, imprisoned and chained, was set free by an angel. The angel struck his side, the chains fell off, and the prison gates opened on their own. But here's the part many overlook. Peter still had to get up and walk out. The angel didn't carry him. Divine help showed up, but personal movement completed the miracle. How many doors has God opened, but you stayed seated? How many crooked places did he straighten, yet you remained in circles of indecision? This Isaiah verse is not just a comfort, it's a commission. God says, "I will go before you," but he expects you to follow. You don't need to know every detail of what's on the other side. All you need to know is who went before you. Doors don't open to show off God's power. They open to activate your obedience. God's deliverance is not about escape, it's about entrance. When you step through that door, you're entering into purpose, into territory, into legacy. There's something waiting on the other side of your yes. There's healing, provision, restoration, reconciliation, new beginnings. But you'll never know if you keep praying at a door God already unlocked. Your future does not begin when you feel ready. It begins when you trust that God already made the way straight. So stand up. Shake off the dust. Silence fear with faith. The gates are broken. The bars are cut. The way is clear. It's time to walk through that door. God does not just open doors. He opens hidden doors. Doors you didn't pray for. Doors you didn't see. Doors you wouldn't have picked. But doors that are aligned with divine timing. In Isaiah 45:2, God says, "I will go before you and make the crooked places straight." That means He's clearing paths that haven't even entered your imagination yet. These aren't doors in plain sight. These are doors prepared for seasons you didn't even know were coming. You see, most people seek what's visible, opportunities that everyone is talking about, platforms that others are standing on, doors that have already been walked through by someone else. But the truth is, when God is doing something unique in your life, He won't recycle someone else's door for your destiny. He will create something custom, built, often hidden from plain sight, and only revealed through obedience and timing. Let's go deeper. When God sent Elijah to the widow in Zarephath, the door didn't look like provision. It looked like lack. A single mother, preparing to die with her son, didn't look like a breakthrough. But it was. That was the door, hidden, uncomfortable, wrapped in disguise, but divinely assigned. What looked like the end for her was really the beginning of overflow. The hidden door to her survival was linked to her willingness to serve the prophet and Elijah's willingness to obey a strange command. When you ask God to bless you, do not expect the answer to always arrive in a neat, recognizable package. Sometimes the door is wrapped in problems. It might look like a job loss, a closed relationship, or an unexpected relocation. But hidden behind that discomfort is a door you could not see, a door that only opens once your heart is surrendered enough to follow God's voice, not your feelings. Let me give you a modern example. A woman named Latoya had been working in a corporate role for over a decade. She was excellent at what she did, but in her heart, she knew it wasn't where she was meant to stay. She prayed for years for a door to open, a promotion, a different job, a clear calling. Nothing moved. Then one day, she was laid off, no warning, no backup plan, just loss. Most would call that a closed door. But in the silence that followed, she finally found space to hear what God had been saying for years. Start the business. Within 6 months, that hidden idea became a six-figure wellness brand. The layoff wasn't the end. It was the door, but she had to go through the dark hallway of uncertainty to find it. You cannot expect divine direction while clinging to human comfort. Hidden doors require deep trust. If you want what God has prepared in secret, you must be willing to walk blindly for a season, led only by His word, not by your understanding. The Israelites had to walk into a wilderness to discover water from a rock. They had to walk into battle before they saw walls fall at Jericho. The pattern is clear. Revelation follows movement. The door is hidden until you move toward it. Many believers sit still, waiting to see before they obey. But in the kingdom of God, the order is reversed: obey, and then you will see. Isaiah 45 doesn't just promise open doors. It promises hidden treasures. Verse 3 says, "I will give you the treasures of darkness, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord." That means some of your greatest breakthroughs are located in dark places, disguised, delayed, and protected because they're assigned to your name. Not everything that looks good is from God, and not everything that looks difficult is from the devil. Sometimes it's just a door that hasn't been revealed yet. When God hides a door, He's not withholding something from you. He's preparing something for you. He's building your discernment, deepening your dependence, and stretching your faith to trust His voice when nothing around you makes sense. Some doors are hidden because your character isn't ready to carry the blessing yet. Others are hidden because enemies are watching and God is shielding your next move. Some doors are hidden because you would have rejected them had you seen them too soon. God hides what He values. He conceals what is sacred until the time is right. So here's the question: can you follow God even when the door is hidden? Can you trust that what looks like confusion may be divine camouflage? Can you believe that the delay is actually direction? The door will be revealed when your faith is matured enough to handle what's behind it. It's not lost. It's not denied. It's simply hidden for now. Isaiah 45:2 contains an extraordinary promise that God Himself will go before you, break gates of bronze, and cut through bars of iron. This is not merely about supernatural activity. It's about divine partnership. God breaks, but you must move. God opens, but you must enter. The unseen door will not swing wide open until obedience meets preparation. Let's be honest, we love declarations. We enjoy shouting, God's opening doors. But many believers remain stuck, not because doors are closed, but because they haven't obeyed the last instruction. It's possible to delay your own destiny through spiritual stubbornness. Heaven doesn't move on emotion. It moves on alignment. When you align with God's will, especially when it doesn't make sense, doors appear where there were once walls. Look at Abraham. God gave him a simple, unsettling command: leave your country and go to the land I will show you. Genesis 12:1. He wasn't given a map, no budget, no exact destination. But because he obeyed, God opened an unseen door to legacy, land, and lineage. Abraham didn't need to know where, he just needed to trust who. Obedience is not about understanding everything. It's about trusting that God knows what's on the other side of your yes. Sometimes the reason you don't see the door is because it only becomes visible once you take the first step. That's how the kingdom works. God moves with movers, not with those frozen in overthinking and fear. Let me share a story. There was a man named Samuel who felt deeply burdened to move to another city and plant a ministry. The calling was clear, the vision was stirring, but every time he looked at his bank account, anxiety crept in. He waited and waited, thinking maybe God would send a check, a sign, a donor. Nothing came. Until one morning in prayer, the Spirit whispered, "I've already opened the door. You're just waiting on confirmation I've already given." That same week, Samuel packed up, moved, and within 6 months the ministry flourished, not because the resources appeared first, but because obedience unlocked them. The doors God opens are not always physical. Sometimes they are mental freedom from depression, anxiety, doubt. Sometimes they are relational restoration in marriages, reconciliation in families. But whatever form they take, the spiritual principle remains. Obedience is the currency of the unseen.